From the Be Our Proud Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jesse Gunkel with the very latest on today's storms. Right now, they've just issued a severe thunderstorm warning. That was just a matter of seconds ago, and that's for far northwestern portions of the viewing area. You can see it here, a severe thunderstorm warning until 3:30 this evening for Amite and Wilkinson in southern Mississippi. That includes Point Coupee and West Feliciana. In our northern parishes, or those are the Florida parishes. We're looking at the possibility of winds reaching 60 miles per hour, hail greater than an inch in diameter, so that it can obviously do a ton of damage. Storms are now moving and tracking towards the northeast at about 15 to 20 miles per hour, so it's relatively a slow mover out there. The concern is because it is a slow mover and because we've got an unlimited supply of moisture out there, our precipitable water values are extremely high. And what that means is that we could be seeing a ton of rainfall, some very intense rainfall rates with this system as it moves through. And their overall concern is going to be the possibility of flash flooding. We could easily see an inch to 2 inches, maybe even 3 inches of rainfall in some localized area in just a short window. We're talking maybe within a 1 hour to maybe even a half-hour time span with this thunderstorm. We're talking an area from Natchez all the way down to areas just south of Marksville, and that same line is starting to build just around Ville Platte, and it looks like it's going to actually intensify as this line starts to track a little bit further towards the east. So really a lot to watch in the coming hours, just because again this is somewhat of a slow moving system. We could be seeing some spin ups along this line of thunderstorms, and not just for the next hour but potentially until early evening. So I just wanted to zoom out a little bit here to just show you exactly what we're looking. There's another severe thunderstorm warning a little bit further west, and that one's for the Marksville area, Ville Platte. That's until about 3 o'clock. We've also got another severe thunderstorm warning for the Natchez area, and that's until about 3:15, along with more thunderstorms developing a little bit further north. And as you notice, the city of Yazoo City, if you remember on Sunday, that massive tornado that came through the area, all that incredible footage, well, guess what? They're already underneath a tornado warning now until 3:15. That again is Doppler indicated, nothing confirmed, but still, the potential threat lies there. And also for the city of Jackson, from Madison all the way down to Crystal Springs, they sit underneath a severe thunderstorm warning now until about 3:45. So that's relatively new. Now for our viewing area, once again, our concern is really in this area, and you can see this little cone, and that's going to be where we're going to watch closely, because if you take a look at that area, that's the potential that we may even see a little bit of rotation. So let's examine this a little bit. And as you notice here, we're just going to take a look closely. And what you're seeing is, because that column is very high from top to bottom, we're getting an upper level scan. So we may not see exactly what's down at the surface, but what we are seeing is some possible rotation in that general area. And if you live around Simmsport, well, take shelter immediately. No tornado warning quite yet, but they may be issuing one very shortly, because we are starting to see some signs of rotation, at least in the upper levels of the atmosphere, and that could be slowly translating down towards the ground. So again, if you live in Simmsport, anywhere within that blue cone right there, anywhere where that red arrow sits, you need to take shelter immediately. Find that safe place just in case, because right now the rain is coming down very heavy. We're talking torrential rainfall. You're not going to see a tornado. It's going to be rain wrapped. We've got a lot. It's a pretty wooded area up there anyway, so yeah, you're not going to see a tornado. It's not going to be visible. So what you just need to do is find that safe place immediately and just get there as soon as possible. We're talking if you live around Highway 1 all the way to Highway 15 as it extends into southern Mississippi and right along the actual Mississippi River. So that area is moving. Again, the potential also for some hail. Looks like could be talking about maybe even the threat of severe hail greater than 3/4 of an inch in diameter. So again, the potential is definitely there for us to see some hail along with the threat of those damaging winds. And you can see the concern is that we're going to start to see more and more pockets develop a little bit further south as we move along. Now, a lot of these discrete areas, and what I'm talking about are these individual pockets, we'll watch for possible rotation. My main concern is what's going to happen kind of in this main line. You can see it right here as that line kind of drives more so towards the east. Well, we could see in this line every once in a while, and you can kind of see it right here, maybe some possible rotation. And that's really what the concern is as we move forward. Do we start to see those little spin-ups along that line as it pushes into our area? Because we may be seeing a bunch of tornado warnings pop off if that is the case. However, it's not the greatest threat, obviously, with this type of system. I do believe that torrential rain, flash flooding, ponding water, drive cautiously if you have to be out and about this evening. Obviously, it looks like time of arrival now is pushing for us, as for at least for far northwestern portions of the area, from Point Capite down to, I would say, Baker and Zachary. That's probably anywhere from now to about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. From Scotlandville Airport all the way through Baton Rouge, all the way possibly down into Denham Springs, we're talking from about 3 to about 5 to 6 in the evening, and then from Ascension down all the way down to Plaquemine, all the way down to areas a little bit further south. We're talking that window is probably from about 4 to about 6, 7, and then after that, a lot of those storms will be marching towards the New Orleans area, a little bit further east of I-55. So as you see here, we've got quite a few hours of storms to kind of watch. So we're going to watch those individual pockets out there because, again, some of those could obviously be rotating as we move into the evening hours. Now, let me see here. Let's get back to, I'm just trying to clear this out right now, because what I do want to point out is when you get to the show that we still, when you're looking at the big picture here, we still sit underneath a tornado watch for a couple of our parishes and our counties in southern Mississippi until 6 p.m. this evening, which means that all of the ingredients are there for an active situation this evening. And again, we've got a lot of moisture out there, and the other concern is flash flooding. So as you move forward, you'll see that we sit underneath a flash flood watch until 1 o'clock in the morning. That's because there is that potential threat for rain at least through midnight, and then it should slowly start to taper off with some lingering showers once that cold front dries through, and then we'll kind of calm down a little bit for the rest of the work week. And as we head into Mother's Day weekend, things are looking pretty good out there, and just a very warm and humid afternoon right now. We've got temperatures in the upper 80s. We got feel-like temperatures right now sitting in the 90s and even upper 90s in some locations. So again, it is very hot and humid out there, and that is obviously the concern. And as you see here from the SPC, the Storm Prediction Center, they are putting some portions of our viewing area under a moderate risk. That's mainly southern Mississippi up through Jackson all the way to Birmingham, Alabama. And that's a 4 out of 5 on the threat scale, which means that all types of severe weather are possible. And when you start to get to that moderate category, that means we're talking about tornadoes greater than EF2. We're talking maybe some long track tornadoes out there. We're talking tornadoes that could be rather wide and could do plenty of damage out there. Now, a good portion of the viewing area, roughly from the state line down through I-10 and I-12, right along the corridor, you see that in the Baton Rouge area, we do sit underneath enhanced risk. So we're pretty elevated at this point. The threat starts to drop a little bit further south of the I-10, I-12 corridor, and then near the coastline, it's still a marginal risk. Even if you live in Morgan City, Houma, Thibodaux, Belt Chase, all those areas in between, there still is the potential that we could be seeing some pretty decent storms out there heading into the early evening hours. So again, all of southeastern Louisiana pretty much under the gun at this point. So just be well aware of that. And as you see here, just to take a look at your current timing out there, I also want to show you, again, it's a hot and humid day until that front comes through. You can see the current feel-like temperatures, 97 in Gonzales, 95 in New Orleans, 95 out there in the capital area on the north side of town. Bogalusa coming in at 95. This is a very warm, humid air mass. It looks like our instability levels are starting to climb a little bit. They did a balloon sounding, and it looks like the cap's eroding a little bit. We're starting to see, again, we could be seeing these storms actually strengthening as they move into our viewing area. And once again, we've got an unlimited supply of moisture, which just means that we could be seeing some torrential downpours that could ultimately lead to some flash flooding. So just take a look at our, and again, this is not doing the most justice to what we're watching our FUTURETRACK out there. We've kind of looked at a couple models out there showing you a pretty intense line. I think it's actually going to be a little bit more intense than what our model is showing. I don't see it weakening too much by the time it gets here to the capital area. So again, if you've been kind of keeping an eye on our FUTURETRACK, well, it's kind of been hit or miss recently. It just hasn't been picking up everything that we're currently seeing out there. It hasn't picked up that isolated convection or those isolated thunderstorms ahead of that line. So it's just worth noting that time of arrival, however, does look right though for much of our viewing area. So we're talking anywhere between 4 and about 6 o'clock this evening before it starts to taper off around midnight. And you can see here just an estimate, just kind of show you what we're looking at here. And you can see even some of these rain totals out there. And again, this is just the latest estimate, and we're talking about 1 to 3, but obviously that could quickly climb as we move into the evening hours, depending on how slow this system is actually moving. And once again, because you're talking some of these intense rainfall pockets. So the concern is going to be watch that runoff, because it's going to really start to add up. And if you remember Sunday morning, some areas had 4+ inches of rainfall. Any additional rainfall at this point is going to become a big time issue for us. So just remember that the ground is saturated. We still have a lot of our bayous pretty much swelled at this point, which is also causing some issues out there. And again, you got to think this water's got to go somewhere at some point. So jumping back to our exclusive live Viper radar, I'm just going to show you once again what we're looking at, and we'll keep an eye on a couple areas out there just around Simsport. There may be some potential rotation out there. Let's take also a look at the hail, and this is showing you the past path, which is showing you the possibility of hail that made its way just a little bit south of Simsport, moving across LA1. And you can see how that kind of drives right through the Simsport area and across the area. So it looks like this cell does have a history of producing hail out there. And again, as we kind of keep an eye, does it have a little bit of shear? And potentially, again, not maybe 100% accurate, just because once again, we're looking at areas way up in the atmosphere. We're kind of getting some of those upper level scans. We don't have everything translating down towards the surface, but again, this could be a rotating storm as we move forward. Just again, we're looking at those velocity scans out there, and as you see roughly right about here, we're watching this area very closely as it heads towards the northeast. So they have not issued a tornado warning, but just know that there is a severe thunderstorm warning in the area. And right now, again, that's the biggest concern, obviously, as we move forward, that we could be seeing some damaging winds. And you could even see this little pocket kind of developing across the area. It hasn't picked up much in the way of cities, but you can see that there are some areas just heading along LA1, a little bit north of Morganza. It's not the most highly populated area, but we are starting to see those storms develop. In fact, just since recent scans, just over the last, I would say about 10 minutes, you can see that we've got a lot more thunderstorm activity developing just west of the Mississippi River. So heading towards the New Roads area from Marywen, Livonia, down to Rosedale and Gross Tate. So we'll have to watch this individual cell as it kind of starts to move northbound and potentially kind of merge with this main line as we move into the early evening hours. So a lot really kind of going on out there. What I really just wanted to make sure is that if we do get any more severe thunderstorm warnings, or if anything really develops throughout the afternoon, stay weather aware. Make sure you download our free app. You can get it at the App Store or at Google Play. And again, it's just so easy. It gives you the very latest information, all those alerts that are popping up. If there's a new severe thunderstorm warning, tornado watch, anything like that, you'll get that information out there along with the latest forecast. Plus, we'll have complete team coverage as we move into the evening hours. So again, time of arrival, just to kind of step back, we are looking at over the next, I would say from now to about 7 o'clock this evening before the severe weather threat eventually exits the area. And that again is going to be, again, the concerning part is most of this is going to happen probably in our viewing area just around that commute. So we're going to have to watch it closely here. And just checking out something here. It looks like we got a new alert from the SPC about another mesoscale discussion. Okay, that's just a little bit north of here. So they were worried about flash flooding, but that's for central and northern Mississippi and portions of Alabama and Georgia. So again, the concern is what's going to happen, obviously, as we move into the evening hours. I'm going to see this kind of become more of a well-defined line, and I think we're going to start to see a lot of those showers and thunderstorms develop. Let's actually, before we go too, I just want to show you this quick. We'll clear this out and see what our Barron Index says. And it's showing you a pretty good sign that we could be seeing some hail in a lot of locations. That's kind of indicated by those purple spots. And you see exclusively right just around Simpsport. This is our exclusive data, but it's a pretty good indicator of that there could be some potential hail out there. We're talking maybe even up to an inch in diameter. Now we haven't got, it doesn't look like severe hail quite yet, but there definitely could be some penny, maybe marble size hail in that area. So if you haven't done so already, because this could be a great hail threat going into the evening hours, if your car's on the road, cover it up, or bring it underneath that carport or pull it into the garage. Keep it from being outside, so just so you don't have to worry about any damage out there. I also want to point out, again, besides that, when you take a look at the national picture, and I'm going to show you a wider radar shot, because you can see here that we are watching a lot of these thunderstorms, and that whole entire line really extending from areas all the way from Jackson, Tennessee almost, all the way back down towards Beaumont, north of Houston right now. And that whole entire line is going to start to walk its way pretty slowly towards the east, northeast at about 15, maybe 20 miles per hour. So yeah, we're going to be dealing with this over the next few hours. And again, along that line, we just have to worry about some possible rotation that could lead to maybe even an isolated tornado or two. But again, the greatest threat is that heavy rainfall as it starts to walk its way towards the east. I do want to show you one more thing here, and just to kind of, again, show you the big picture out there, our possibility for tornadoes out there. And you can see it kind of sits in that 5% category, but that's the area kind of shaded in the brown out there in this general area right here. That's, again, there is that possibility, and that's why they've actually issued that tornado watch, so kind of circled into that area. There is about a 5%. Obviously, it's not the greatest potential for isolated tornadoes, but it's definitely something to watch. Now, watch what happens. If I do the SPC wind, well, notice how the probability quickly jumps up to about 45%. So, and that's areas just on the other side of Louisiana. So as soon as you step into southern Mississippi, so that wind threat is really going to start to increase as these thunderstorms start to march their way towards the east. So again, a lot to kind of obviously watch as we move forward. And one big picture out here, and just if I can get it back, and you'll see here, if we get back to the radar, that we are going to be watching those storms. They're also jam-packed with a lot of lightning, and I do want to show you that. You can see how many lightning strikes are happening. It's a pretty big lightning show out there off towards the northwest. You can see the clouds really starting to get dark out there and pretty ominous. So again, also with the threat of lightning out there, you just need to take these matters very cautiously as we move into the evening hours. So again, one more time, just make sure you are weather aware this evening. Make sure you download our free app for the very latest information. If we get any new warnings or watches out there, we will definitely send that information to you at home. But again, just stay prepared, and I'll continue to guide you through these storms. Again, that's my job. We're going to get you safe and sound through the evening hours. If you have any reports of potential flooding, wind damage, first of all, make sure you're safe. But if we get past all of that, you can send those reports to @JesseGunkle at Twitter, or you can email it to our news department at news@brproud.com. Thanks for joining us, and please stay safe.